So Benny, how's it going?
Good.
So we've been talking about MTE, Multi-Day Timed Entry, as you've dubbed it with the acronym. We've been getting some demos from Allison and some other people. And today I wanted to really talk about the invention that we had coming out of this and some of the complexities that we ran into, that you and Steven and others ran into while we were developing this. I kind of wanted to take you back to a couple of years ago. We had our initial ticket offering, and then we had something called advanced tickets. And we started to run into customers that had events that were multiple days and multiple time slots per day and multiple tickets available in each of those time slots. And we were attempting to use, and we successfully used advanced tickets to solve that for some of these early customers. But the setup of it was really difficult. Maybe you can think back to those days and kind of tell us a little bit about the challenges that we were starting to see, which will get us to what the invention was.
Sure. I think one of the things that a lot of customers will ask for in the past was associate time data into the ticket levels that we have. Because in the past, each ticket levels, the way that customer put times on them is basically putting the time in text in the name of those ticket levels.
So in the old way of doing it, using this advanced ticket feature we had, and I don't want you to go through the whole thing because it would literally take hours.
Yeah.
But what if we wanted to have, let's say, two different tickets, adult and VIP, that had a time slot of every 5 minutes?
Sure.
Let's say I want to do it 5 days a week for a month.
5 days a week for a month. So I guess October. So we just set up like October. And there's many ways to set this up, but then
Sure.
we're just trying to go through like the
So I want to add an adult ticket,
adult.
adult ticket every 5 minutes.
So here we have adult, but we then also need the time in them. So I guess that'll be 9:00 a.m. So that's one. And now if we need the one in the next 5 minutes, you need to create another one.
So you'd literally be
Adult.
creating hundreds of tickets over
Exactly.
the course of the month.
Yep. And the problem with that is we will have to make sure the order of them are sorted by time manually, right? Because there's no actual time data in them, you can't sort them by time naturally. So that caused a lot of labor work just to try to sort them and make sure that they're in the right order.
And once it gets set up, it worked just fine, but the director had to go through this laborious process, which we actually did it for them in this case. And this is how we got to better know what the requirements were, by actually working with a real customer.
Yeah, and second, it's also hard for the actual participants to see what time slot are available in the particular day, and to buy the exact time slot they want to go for. Just because things are grouped just by names, they will basically just have to find the right time slot with the correct name in there.
So then we decided, okay, how do we make this easier?
So that lead us to MTE basically. So now we are able to plot the ticket levels onto a calendar, and it's just such an easy way to see all the available tickets within the calendar, and the customer will just be able to pick the specific day they want to and see all the time slot within that day, and they can see what's available, what's not, what's sold out, and the exact time they want for, and they pick that and they buy it. And it's just a lot easier than what it was before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other big thing, and this is a big thing across the board for RunSignup and the way we kind of design things, is we want it to be not only easy to use, but fast. And what we saw with some other offerings out in the market was, as you're going to buy your ticket and you click on Saturday, the hourglass timer is just rolling and the thing's churning and smoking, trying to give you the answer. Yeah. And the reason I think we started to realize it's really complicated from a data model point of view. If you think about, like, let's take a 3-ticket event, an event with 3 different tickets, like child, adult, and VIP. I'm just making it up. And if they have those tickets across 30 days, and maybe it's every 15-minute intervals, they're offering those 3 tickets. You start to do the math, and it's thousands of data points, and each of those slots have all these parameters like caps and pricing and custom questions and so forth. And then, of course, we're doing that in a multi-tenant system, so thousands of customers. So all of a sudden, the permutations of the amount of data really grows really quickly. And I think that was a challenge that primarily you and Steven were attacking. And actually, I think went down a path and then decided an even better way of doing it. And take us through kind of how that went down.
Sure. So I'll start from the beginning. So the most brute force or straightforward approach to solving to associating time slot into time data into these time slot is to basically have a row in the database for every time slots, right? So, but as you described, having one row per time slot, you end up with a bunch of rows, like thousands of rows, or even more, for every event you're trying to create.
And I guess I didn't mention some of these events never end, right? So we do escape rooms as an example.
Right.
You know, they set it up and it goes on forever.
Yeah, and in case you either have to keep renewing them, keep creating a new time slot for them every year, or you just have a really long span, like 10 years from now, and create all the time slot at once. Which either way is a pretty not efficient way for both the database and for the directors to see. So what we came up with basically, because most of these events have a pattern of time slot they want to place, let's say 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. every day of the week and throughout the year or even more. So with that pattern, we can basically say just one row in a database, and that one row describe the definitions of how these time slot spans over. So like what I just said, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. every night, something like that, right? And you just need one row, and you can represent, one time slots in the entire year, every day in the entire year. So that's like 365, right?
Now, what happens if, one of the weeks I want to do something different?
Yeah, so there's something what we call time slot additions. Basically, outside of the patterns, you can also create these additional time slots onto the calendar, just for those occasionally happening time slots. Another layer that we add top of is if you look at other calendars, let's take Google Calendar for examples. You can create meetings from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. every day throughout the week and everything. But you can't, at least as far as I know, you don't really have a way to create multiple time slot within a day and then spend that over across the days. But we do need that, right? Because a lot of events, you have more than just one time slot in a day. You may, let's say you have 10 time slot a day and you want that to reoccur over the week. And that right now is also achievable by just one or two rows in a database, basically saying one row is representing how many time slot I want to happen in the day, and another row representing how I want that pattern within that day to reoccur throughout the week. So with that, we can represent literally over pretty much over thousands of time slots for just two rows.
So you were able to really compress the amount of rows you needed and the amount of data you needed to, to kind of encapsulate that. And then there's a bunch of algorithms in order to return the data so that me as a user, I'm interested in taking my family to this event on Saturday. I'm going to click on Saturday. And then we have really fast algorithms to go and select from all that condensed data, what should be displayed on the screen.
Yeah, so one good thing about it is we don't necessarily need to compute for all the time slots and then grab that particular day and then display it. Instead, what we can do is we just say which day you want, and we only compute for the time slot within that day, and we only show that to the user. So that's a lot more efficient and just save a lot of server CPU usage.
Cool.
Yeah.
So can you show us the new way of creating such a ticket?
Sure. So you hear we've always seen the OA as adults. That's only just one ticket type, right? You can have the child tickets as well, VIP tickets as well, and just have to replicate the same process over again.
Yep.
In a new way, here you see is the MultiDay Timed Entry (MTE). And in the calendar, let's go to a clean month and just start over.
Yeah, good idea.
So here's August 2025. Right, and let's say I don't want to do the same thing. What I want to do here is I create time slots. Let's this one be weekdays. something like that. The group name doesn't actually matter too much here. And let's say I want 3, the same number of time slot that we had for that adult ticket in the other page. And I want each of them to, let's say, last for an hour. But each of them happen like 5 minutes apart, which is what we had too. So one thing here to note is not only we have the same 5-minute gap apart, we also have an additional attribute here, which is how long the time slot actually spans. So this is pretty useful too, so you can tell the customer how long your session actually lasts.
And you can also very easily overlap sessions using that.
Yes.
Using those 2 fields.
Yep. And here's some test ticket level data that I have, but just picture this as the same, adult, child.
Yep.
Here I can just select, let's say, 3 tickets here, and then I have it repeat. Let's say daily, and then over the course to next Friday, let's say. So let's create that. So it's not necessarily weekdays because I select the daily, but you get the point. Yep. Here. It's recurring that same set of 3 time slots and over many days. And
so you created almost 30 time slots there just with maybe 8 to 10 clicks.
Yeah, and it's actually more than, even more than that, because each of these time slots contains 3 ticket levels. So if you were on the other page, it will actually multiply by 3, even 3 more. So.
And now the technology that the kind of secret sauce here behind the scenes is those time slot rules tables that you have in the background, which is really just single rows of data for some of these.
Yes.
And that's what creates the efficiency with the retrievals and queries and so forth.
Yes. And we did make another iteration on top of this, because we do realize that it can be hard for the director to set up. And in the process of this invention is we try to iterate on the project, and we try to make it nicer to use. And here I'm just going to navigate to the new way of setting this up within the wizard.
So even within the new MTE design, you've already come up with yet another generation of an easier way to do it from a usability standpoint.
Yes. So here in the new day of the week MTE wizard, basically it's operating on a day of the week basis. And now you'll get what I mean really quick. So here we'll try to create tickets. And here let's say adult, $10. And just go on sale today. Okay. And child tickets. And then let's say also a VIP. So now we have 3 different ticket types, and when we continue to the next steps, now here we come back to the schedule page that we just showed it. But here, what the different part over here is we know that it'll be hard. Most of the events operate based on the week basis. So let's say all your events happens on Monday. And by the way, this page also is on other iterations. There's going to be some improvements on this quick selectors. Let's say I just want to have the Monday and Tuesdays. And the reason that only these sets of days are selected is because on the first step of the wizard, we have set it that the start day of the event is the 9th and the end is somewhere, I think, on the 27th. And that's the reason why I didn't span even across it. So it only selects the days for when your event does happen. So let's do that. So now you have Monday and Tuesdays, and you can set the pricing for the ticket on those days.
And what we found is this is kind of how event directors think about their events. Okay, I know what tickets I want, VIP and adult. I know what days a week I'm operating, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, make that really easy to choose. Now you're digging into the details of each of those.
Yes, and you can just use the default price that you have set on every ticket, but if you do want like a special price on Monday or Tuesday based on, let's say, traffic or other reasons, you could put things here, and you can also set a caps on them if you want to. Let's say just 10. Special price, and here you have the options to either do an open entry, which is just basically just one time slot for the entire day, or you can do multiple time slot in that day. And to replicate what we did on the other schedule page, we can do 3 on that day, and each of them last for 1 hour, and they start every 5 minutes, right? And let's do, they start at 9 a.m. And since we have set it up already, we have this option to copy over what we just did. Yep. And that, and let's save. So now we have set up the pricing for Monday, and if you just have the same pricing for every weekday, you could just do that and copy over to Tuesday as well and continue.
So we're really trying to optimize it now to make it easy to set up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now when we go through the wizard and we go back to the dashboard, let's head back to the exact same schedule page that we were at. You now see those time slots there. So it's the same infrastructure in the back, but we are trying to improve how the director actually set them up and in a more easy to understand way.
Yep. So our optimizations on the back end have proven out. The queries are fast. We were able to store the data in the right amount of way. Now we're optimizing the director experience. And we've also at the same time been optimizing the end user experience on actually purchasing the tickets. And they're actually the three things that the patent actually addresses. So yeah, looks great.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the patent and how the process works. And I know you had actually, when you walked in here, just asked me, so what's the status?
Yeah,
so
what is
I
it?
get to tell you the status.
That's cool.
But starting from scratch, so we applied for a provisional patent. It was actually back in August of 2023, so a little over a year ago. And basically, the provisional patent allows us to register the idea and gives us a year before we decide if we want to apply for an actual patent application. And so during that time, we're what's referred to as patent pending on the idea. But it's protected then, and we continue to build out the idea and refine it. So that year mark, in this past August 2024, we went and took your and Steven's idea and updated it, and then basically applied for a patent. And so now the process of the patent office examiner will start to look at it. They look for what's called prior art. So is this actually novel and unique approach to the problem? And we're still waiting for for that process to start. But we can tell that they did look at it because they've already rejected a few of our drawings. Okay. The patent office isn't maybe up to modern standards when it comes to digital assets. So a lot of things are printed and copied around and to put into a patent application. Some of our diagrams that were high resolution screen images, but were color like shaded, didn't come out well. So basically we went back and kind of flattened them all so that they'll look better on paper basically. And we just resubmitted those last week. So now we're waiting for our day to for the patent examiner to go through it, and we expect this to take a couple of years sometimes, a year or two, probably a year before they look at it initially, and then there'll likely be questions and clarifications that we'll have to make, and so we're looking forward to that. At least I am.
Okay.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you for doing all that.
Yeah, no, Bob wrote up actually most of the patent summary, and then I worked with the attorney to put it into legal speak, and none of us will understand it now that it's in legal speak, but actually it came out really nicely. I think it's great for the company. It's really good for you and Steven, who are the two named inventors. I want to mention that there were so many people that contributed to this. Allison and Bob with the idea of the market and what this thing actually needs to do. Andrew Burke, Jonathan Kiesel on the front end, kind of how are we going to make this usable, as well as Darren, Joel. But by the time we're done implementing this, pretty much I think 90% of the development team will have touched it because it's going to be highly integrated into email, websites, and everything else about the product. So pretty much every developer here is going to understand the design of MTE, how it works. And we're getting some gigantic customers using it already, especially this time of year during the holidays. So we're seeing some great traction, and they've been very successful and happy, which
Great.
I like.
Yeah.
So great job. It's awesome. Is this your first patent? I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's my first one, yeah.
Excellent. I bet you there'll be more to come.
Hopefully.
Nice work.
Thank you.